ये मेरे जब मैं 14वीं मेरी बर्थडे थी तो मेरे वालिद के एक दोस्त मोहसिन नकवी ने मुझे बर्थडे के वक्त उन्होंने मुझे अपनी किताब, अपनी ये जो शायरी है वो गिफ्ट की। तो मैंने अपने बाबा से कहा कि ये आपके जो दोस्त हैं ये तो मुझे खास तौर पे बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है, ये मुझे कोई चॉकलेट भी दे सकते थे। तो इन्होंने मुझे ये शायरी पकड़ाई है जिसकी ना मुझे समझ है ना कुछ। तो अब मैं जब भी उनके अशार पढ़ती हूँ तो मेरे दिल से उनके लिए दुआ निकलती है, अल्लाह उनकी रूह को सुकून बख्शे, उनके दर्जात बुलंद करे। तो फे से फहमे बशर का हासिल, फे से फहमे बशर का हासिल, अलिफ से अलहम्द की किरण है। तोए से ताहा के घर की रौनक, तोए से ताहा के घर की रौनक, मीम से मंजिले महन है। हे से हर दूसरा के सुल्तान की पुरनूर अंजुमन है। जे से जीनते जमी, हे से हदायतों का हरा चमन है। रे से रहनुमाए वफा, अलिफ से अव्वल नसब है इसका, इसीलिए नाम फातिमा है, जनाब ज़हरा लक़ब है इसका।
Rubab Mehdi, Chairperson, Local Economics and Council Ladies Wing, for her delightful speech. I would like now to introduce Baroness Sayeeda Warsi, Shadow Minister for Community Cohesion and Social Action. She is regarded as the most influential Muslim woman today in the United Kingdom. I give you Baroness Warsi.
I'm sure you'll excuse me if I try and stand up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has only blessed me with 5'1". How do you follow something like that? Rubab says time and time again in her speech that she's not a politician. I think you would add a lot to politics. And they always say the best politicians are those who claim not to be. Can I start by welcoming the Chairman of the Senate, Minister Dr. Firdaus, and thank Lord Ahmed and the Council for hosting this event. I want to talk a little bit really about what I see as some of the challenges to British Muslims in Britain today. I think we've talked a lot today about the internal challenge within Islam. I've heard many of the speakers, and certainly Rubab, mention the fact that there is a conflict going on within Islam. Who actually speaks for Islam? Which is the right form of Islam? And certainly I've had these discussions. I come from a very mixed theological background. I say that if anybody should have an identity crisis, it should be me. I have a family which is half Sunni, half Shia, and I was brought up in a Deobandi environment all my life. So I've had probably the most mixed theological education that one could have had. And for many years, actually, I believed and I was taught that actually what it meant to be a Muslim was to be a good person, to depict some of the qualities that we've been hearing about Syeda Fatima today. But in more recent times, I think that there is a challenge about what it means to be a Muslim, and specifically in relation to how Islam is projected to the non-Muslim world. Now, as Shadow Minister for Community Cohesion and Social Action, this is something that I come across every single day. Every single day we are dealing with how to work out policies and responses to creating a sense of ease within the communities that exist in Britain. And I say that invariably we end up with two kinds of days these days. We end up with bad Muslim days, and we end up with bad days for Muslims. I'll try and explain what I mean by that. We end up with the days that are the former. We open the newspaper, somebody has done something pretty appalling. He just happens to be, or says he is, of the Muslim faith, and therefore the headline is Bad Muslim Day. This is a person who has done something bad, and he is bad, almost the subtext is because he is Muslim. The other type of day that we get is that something particularly hasn't happened, but there is some myth out there, some story has been created, usually turns out to be false, but the media whip it up, and that happens to be a bad day for Muslims. Because invariably there are many people who are in the public eye, who are Muslim, who feel that somehow they have to go out and justify their position talk about loyalty, and try and talk about issues which are very sensationalized and which unfortunately sell newspapers. Let me talk about a very specific incident that happened about a year ago. And the lady who I think has now left, who was talking about the importance of hijab. The debate broke out, as you will recall, about whether or not women in Britain should wear the niqab, whether women should wear that niqab in public places. And there is a huge debate at the moment about whether or not across Europe, and indeed I would urge any of you, if you have the time, to read the findings of the Gallup poll, which was published last week, on the attitudes of British, French and German Muslims, and subsequently British, French and German non-Muslims, where there is a debate about whether or not certain symbols of religiosity, the hijab and the niqab, should be removed because they are seen as a barrier for integration. Now, when the debate about the niqab came up, we had all sorts of people who were prepared to come along and give their views. Some said, yes, niqab is part of Islam. Some said niqab isn't part of Islam. Some people said it's an